Welcome to the Living Artist Podcast. I'm your host, Preston M. Smith. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Living Artist Podcast. I'm Preston M. Smith, at PMS Artwork everywhere on internet land and socials. I want to thank you for landing on this podcast. Whether you're a professional artist, just getting started in the art world, a collector of art, or just consider yourself a creative person, this podcast has something for you. I like to think of it as a fun way to rant and talk to other creative people about living the life of an artist, surviving and getting ahead in the art world, and enjoying your life. But most importantly, not waiting until you're dead to make it happen. All right, let's get started.
Ouch. This knee is killing me, but I can't stop training. The marathon is in 2 weeks.
Let's get on ZocDoc and find a doctor to take a look at that for you.
Okay.
Here's a review. Dr. Craddock really takes his time.
No, I don't have time.
What about Dr. Charles? His patients say he can help find a quick fix, and he's in network.
Great, now we're talking. Book it.
Booked. 1 mile down, 19 to go.
Bring it on.
You've got options. Download the ZocDoc app today.
Oh yeah, welcome back to the podcast, everybody. We are coming to you live from the floor, sporting none other than, you guessed it, the Ice Beanie. Ice Beanie. For some of you who have seen Field of Dreams or remember that movie, there's that line that says, if you build it, they will come. Well, in my case, if you keep making kooky, crappy advertisement jingles for the Ice Beanie, maybe they will come and sponsor the podcast. But for the time being, we are powered by the Ice Beanie because it's the only thing really keeping me able to record this at this point. I am not doing well, unfortunately, but this is keeping my brain frazzled and confused enough to keep going with recording some podcasts for you all. So I thought I would just push through and talk about something which is also inspired by my little rap at the beginning of the Ice Beanie and my other jingle of the Ice Beanie. And that is finding your hook. Now, what does that mean, finding your hook? Well, I think there's a lot of things in creative realms, or the creative realm, if you want to call it that, that are not necessarily predicated on, but at very least have great power in finding the hook in whatever you're doing. And obviously in music, it's easy. This is like an easy example. For example, that whole thing at the beginning of maybe like the chorus or, you know, the little bit of the musical interlude at the beginning. That's kind of a hook. It kind of brings you in to the song and it sets the tone for the song and it kind of makes you feel like, oh yeah, I can get into this. And then when you bring it back in, it reinforces that hook for people. Their ears recognize it. It sparks something in your brain to go like, oh yeah, I like this. I dig this. So I wanted to talk about that really quickly while I am being powered by the Ice Beanie and how we can use that in other forms of art, in our painting, in our sculpture, whatever form of art you are doing. You know, another way to talk about this is like with stand-up comedy. They always talk about reincorporation, right? There's this one thing that they'll lay down this story or they'll lay down this one line at one point and it's kind of funny and you're like chuckle at it, but then they find a way to weave it back in and kind of tie everything together later on down the road. And they use that same hook, I will say, let's just call it a hook, to bring everything together and people kind of go, and then they just get this burst of laughter because people feel like they're in on the joke. They got the hook and it makes everybody feel like a part of something. Now, we're going to talk about the hook, finding your hook in two different ways. In one way, we're going to talk about that is, hang on, pause for garbage truck sounds. I'm going to take a pause for a drink. Okay, we're back. Well, you can find a hook in two different ways that are very important. One is in artistic block or writer's block or any kind of creative block that you're having. I'm very lucky. I consider myself very fortunate. I don't really have blocks when it comes to art. Maybe it's just because I developed this mechanism of just creating. And now I just go in there and it flows, or I'm just open to letting it flow when I get in there. But sometimes there is such a thing as creative block, and maybe you have it in a different form, writer's block, or for, the sake of this podcast, I will use it for my creation of this podcast. It's very hard for me to stay focused and to have, the energy and the fortitude recently to create this podcast. So I have to rely a lot of times on a hook. And that hook for me is different than the hook of a song or something. It's a hook that hooks me in to finding, that energy and passion to do it. Like, for example, today I was laying around doing a treatment and I was feeling bad, and this whole Ice Beanie rap came to my mind. And it's stupid. Of course it's stupid, but it's also kind of fun. And it got me a little bit jazzed and energized. It brought some energy to my morning for the first time, out of feeling really bad. And I was like, you know what? I got to get in there and I got to record this and I got to push forward and create a podcast. So that was the hook for me to spark some passion that got me going this morning to be able to put out this podcast in general. And that is so powerful, because before I was just like, I'm not going to do this. I feel horrible. I can't even think right now. I'm not going to do this podcast today. But because I found this hook that almost lit a fire within me, it got me going enough to be able to create this podcast. And like I said, that is very powerful. So you can use that in your own art too. If you're having a block of some sorts, or you're just feeling a malaise, or you don't want to create, or let's say you're just, maybe you don't have a problem with creating, but maybe you're in a funk of like, I'm creating the same thing over and over again. Well, you can find that hook. Find that hook however you want. I encourage you very strongly to listen to new music, to learn a new skill, to use AI to develop something. I mean, I don't want to rely too much on AI, because I think AI is also robbing us of our creativity. It's robbing us of our ability to tap into our own ideas and our own thoughts and to have our own memories and passion from that. So you can use AI as a tool, but just don't let it take over and replace your own creative spark. So that's just a caveat there. But you can watch documentaries. You can watch something on Netflix, or stream something, or find stuff on YouTube, or do your own research. I find hooks all the time that hook me into a creative endeavor, or to spark an idea for a new series of paintings, or to spark an idea for the podcast, or whatever. So that is a hook in one way that we can use to power us forward in the creative process, however that looks for us. That could be through just, getting over creative block, or it could be to spark some new ideas to take us in a new direction with our art. So that's very fun and important, and it's a great tool and hack for us just to get in the studio and do some stuff. Now, you can also find a hook in your art itself. Maybe you don't have a problem finding hooks. You don't have a problem getting passionate, getting interested in creating new ideas, and maybe you're just fluid with your creativity. I find that to be the case with me a lot of the time, but I do think, over the course of our careers, as artists, we can be painting or creating art or whatever creative endeavor you're doing. You can be doing that for the rest of your life, and we might be living longer. So I've been creating art professionally and seriously for 30 years. And if you want to talk about me being a kid, I've been doing it my whole life. So I've got another, assuming I get over this illness and this disease, I have another 30, 40, maybe 50 years of creation in us. So we do need to develop these skills to keep us going. And it's going to evolve with technology and, different things that happen in society that we can't foresee. But that creative hook, that creative spark will always be there. It's always a good idea to cultivate this within ourselves so we never get bored, we never get complacent. But you can find hooks in your art in the creative process as well. And by hooks, I mean similar to what we're talking about in the music. You bring back a little accent, sound, like that little musical interlude that I have in the little rap part at the beginning. That's a hook that keeps you coming back. You can put that in like as a bridge. You can put that to accent certain vocals. You can do it to like accent the chorus, whatever, but it's something that your ear will latch on to and it will enhance the music. Well, we can have hooks like that in our own art. Let's just take painting for an example. I have so many different series of paintings that I've done in my career, different styles. And, maybe you do too, but you are going to find that you have little signature things that you do in your work that are very powerful and very important. And I think it can function as like a through line or a hook for the collector or the viewer, whoever is looking at your work, that ties your pieces together in some way. Maybe you create all different types of pieces, but you have certain little hooks that you put in there, certain little through lines that you put in there that connect them. Like people always have told me that they can tell my artwork when they see it for just a split second online. When I was doing stuff on Instagram, when I was still able to do that, people could see that it was my work immediately because I have these hooks. I have these little things that tie my work together, whether it is a type of paint texture or a type of color scheme or a type of like blending of colors or, an arrangement of some sorts in a certain area. It can be something intangible. It can be something that you're infusing into your work that is just so in tune with you and your own being and your own process that is just intrinsically in your work. That can be a hook too. Like if we know ourselves well enough and we're putting ourselves into our work in an undeniable way, I think there can be some of these intangible hooks as well. But maybe think about certain things that you do in your art. Maybe it's a symbol that you put in your art. Like I know an artist that I really like who listens to this podcast as well. You'll know who you are when I say this, but they put little symbols hidden in their work that it's like a little Easter egg. You're looking at the work. The work stands on its own and it's beautiful and it's amazing. But then you also find this little Easter egg hidden in there somewhere. And it's a little bit of a hook or a through line to their work and through their work that makes it constantly interesting and makes it constantly theirs. So I think that's something that, we can think about. And there's many different ways to do this. It can be a tool that you use when you're painting or a technique or, like I said, a different type of texture that you're creating that's different from other artists. Those can be your hooks or your through lines or things that tie your stuff together or that also just latch the viewer or the collector into what you're doing as an artist. Just like a story. All these things are important. So this was just something that was sparked by a hook that I had today, powered by the Ice Beanie and powered by getting me interested through a hook that I had in my brain to just create this podcast in general. And it got me thinking about hooks that we have in all different creative realms and how we can use those to make our work more interesting and to be more cohesive as a body of work as well. And also just to spark our passion and our creativity if we're in a block or if we're wanting to take our art in a new direction. So hopefully you'll think about this a little bit and, look into your own work and see if you do stuff like this. And if you're not doing stuff like this, maybe you want to incorporate a little bit of this. Or if you're having a block, God forbid, use this. Try to find different hooks that will bring you into your work, that will spark creativity to get you back in the studio. Because I think we need this from time to time. So I'm going to leave it at that. The power of the Ice Beanie is dwindling. And I look forward to hopefully bringing you a new episode next week. Thanks for bearing with me through this process, everybody. And hope you're doing well. Take care of yourselves. Take care of everybody else in your lives. And we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
This has been the Living Artist Podcast. Thank you so much for listening. I just want you to know that I appreciate you being here, and I'm grateful to be in your ears. Your art and creative life on this planet is meaningful, so thank you for sharing it with me. If you like this podcast, whatever platform you're listening to it on, please subscribe and share it with your friends. You can also leave me a positive review to show your support. This helps me to reach more people with the algorithmic magic and keep the show going strong. If you want to see more of what I do and check out the art that I create, you can visit my website at www.pmsartwork.com or follow me on social media everywhere at PMS Artwork. That's it for now. See you back here next time.